We're learning more about why homeless encampment clearouts are on pause in the city of Chico. Action News Now reporter Tori Apodaca joins us live from Chico. And Tori, what's the latest holdup about?
Well, for starters, the plaintiff, or 8 original homeless people who sued the city, have a problem with the city's next area of enforcement. But there's also a new legal battle that's raising up from the plaintiff's side. They're claiming that the city isn't doing its full part of the settlement agreement when it comes to outreach and engagement when they're meeting these people on the streets. Now, the plaintiff claims the city and outreach teams are denying people a pallet shelter after assessment and referring them to the tourist shelter without telling them why. It says they ask limited questions, excluding important determining factors like if someone has a disability or if they'd be separated from a family member. The assessment form does ask if a person needs an ADA unit, but the plaintiff thinks this is not enough in addressing other mental or physical needs a person has. Homeless people I talk with echo they don't understand what qualifies them for one shelter versus the other.
I don't know how to get the referral. We called 211 like 30 times. How do we get a referral for the pallet?
So me and my husband actually have a tent. We're fortunate enough to say we have a tent when others might not.
The city says outreach and engagement is a conversational assessment. The team isn't just looking to check off boxes on a form, but instead account for people's visual and verbal cues. Chico's Public Works Director Eric Gustafson tells me the process is working well and staff is following that settlement agreement. And now we can all remember just a few months ago when this entire area near City Hall was filled with tents, and we were out here as we watched those outreach and engagement teams go tent to tent talking with this people. So now the big question is, when is the next area going to be cleared? Well, Eric Gustafson tells me, the Chico Public Works Director, he says that they do have a meeting with the judge on this Wednesday to discuss just this. And another source from the city tells me that this conversation will be centered around Wind Chime Park. But again, it is ultimately up to the judge to decide which area does get cleared next. For now, reporting live in Chico, Tori Apodaca, Action News Now, coverage you can count on.
Thanks for that update, Tori. Now, the city also has a hearing set for September 13th to dispute the plaintiff's motion that the city's outreach and engagement is not following the settlement agreement. This means the judge could decide to hold off any more enforcement until after this is resolved. Now, a live look over Lake Oroville as we enter this last few days of the month of August. Let's look at the latest on conditions and one more big hurrah for the summertime, which is the Labor Day weekend coming up, Jason.
Yeah, we're definitely going to know it's summer by Labor Day weekend, too. We have a lot of heat in the forecast today. We're already above average. We start off the day fairly sunny, but we already have some high clouds that are moving into the sky. A little bit of cloud cover over the Sierra. You can see just to the west of Glenn County, we've actually had some rain showers and isolated thunderstorms, but they're headed away from our viewing area west of Glenn County also. It is still hot outside, though. Redding is 102 right now. Keep in mind the average high this time of year is 96. It's 97 degrees in Corning and 96 degrees in Oroville. The wind, not too strong. Everyone less than 15 miles an hour, but I'm still tracking a lot. We're going to have the high clouds tonight with some isolated rain showers over the mountains. We expect hotter weather on Tuesday. I'm also tracking your Labor Day weekend forecast. You're not going to want to miss that. I'll let you know what's coming for the next 7 days coming up in just a few minutes.
Redding firefighters contained a human-caused fire that burned 2 acres along Cascade Boulevard yesterday afternoon. Now, they say it burned in heavy brush. Cal Fire, Shasta Lake, and Gate fire crews helped contain the flames. It sparked after another fire in the Clover Creek Preserve. That one was started by a squirrel playing in the power lines. Now, new details. The Shasta County Sheriff's Office says deputies caught a suspected murderer in eastern Shasta County. Investigators say Christian Wilding shot and killed Russell Harris yesterday in a home in Whitmore. Police learned of a possible location for Wilding and with the help of a CHP aircraft were able to take him into custody during a traffic stop. Wilding was booked into the Shasta County Jail for murder. Bail set at $1 million. Arraignment takes place August 31st. Police are still searching for the person they say shot a man in the chest in Rancho Tehama. Deputies released a picture of the suspect, Jesus Meza Rodriguez. They are calling him a suspect, but they do want to talk to him. Officers say that they saw Mesa Rodriguez run away from a home on Rancho Tehama Road and Alpine Drive, where they found the victim shot in the chest.
Our staff from the sheriff's office responded out. We set up a perimeter around it, and we made entry to the location and did not locate anyone here. The victim was taken to the hospital where he underwent surgery, and my understanding is at this point he's stable.
Deputies say the public is not in any danger. Police say the motive for the shooting is still unclear. It was a violent weekend in America, from a 4-year-old shot in a barbershop to 2 people killed in a grocery store. Alice Barr shows us how President Biden plans to address the crime crisis tomorrow.
Crime scene tape stretching across the country this weekend. A spray of bullets in a Philadelphia barbershop hitting a 4-year-old boy in the shoulder as he was getting a back-to-school haircut.
Speaking to one of the witnesses, they said, and I quote, "It was full of children."
A drive-by shooting in Fort Worth, Texas, killing 2 kids, one just 5 years old.
When you have children who are murdered completely senselessly.
And in Bend, Oregon, 2 people killed when a grocery store once again turned into an active shooter scene.
Shooting rounds from an AR-15 style rifle.
President Biden set to address the violence tomorrow, with many questioning what more can be done. Earlier this summer, Congress broke decades of gridlock to pass a bipartisan gun bill aimed at keeping firearms out of the hands of dangerous people and boosting investment in mental health.
We can make meaningful progress on dealing with gun violence.
Yet with the midterm elections approaching, a recent poll shows 8 in 10 Americans believe that gun violence is increasing around the country, and a large majority want more done about it. While mass shooting tragedies like those in Uvalde, Texas and Buffalo, New York capture the nation's attention, daily acts of violence claim far more lives, and no one is exempt. Washington Commanders standout running back Brian Robinson Jr. is recovering after he was shot multiple times last night in what police believe was an attempted carjacking.
We really have to stop the violence.
A devastating challenge that knows no bounds and so far no solution.
Tomorrow, President Biden plans to highlight what his administration is calling the Safer America plan, including increased funding for police. Well, there will soon be a new police chief in the city of Chico. Captain Billy Aldridge has been named the interim chief when the current chief, Matt Madden, retires September 23rd. Aldridge has been part of the Chico Police Department for several years now. Before coming to Chico, he was in the Air Force and the Butte County Sheriff's Office. New details on the man charged with shooting and killing his boyfriend in Shasta County. The DA said today in court the judge set a preliminary hearing date for October 13th, 9 a.m., and a plea disposition October 11th, 8:30 a.m. for Peter Atanasio. He's accused of killing Bradley Goodrich July 16th. Deputies say they found Goodrich shot to death at the couple's Shasta Lake home. The Artemis mission is on hold. What's next for NASA's moon mission following this morning's scrubbed launch? Plus, we update you on the battle between former President Trump and the DOJ. But first, a slippery surprise for commuters this morning. The DOJ's investigation into former President Trump's handling of White House documents continues. Sarah Murray breaks down the latest.
The Justice Department suggesting it's already well underway in digging through boxes of documents seized from Mar-a-Lago.
Their point is well taken, which is this is too late. We're already looking at this material, and we've got a process in place to protect it.
In a new court filing, DOJ says it has identified a limited set of materials that could contain attorney-client privileged information. The progress report coming after former President Donald Trump's team asked a judge for a special master to oversee the review of evidence uncovered in the search. This as the fallout continues over how Trump handled classified documents after leaving office.
This guy, we now know, 184 classified documents, 25 of them top secret. And by the way, countries that want to do us harm want to see these documents.
Director of National Intelligence Avril Haines telling Congress officials are conducting a damage assessment of the documents seized from Mar-a-Lago, including an assessment of the potential risk to national security that would result from the disclosure of relevant documents. DOJ saying in its court filing, it's working alongside intelligence officials to facilitate a review of classified materials.
This is disgusting in my mind. And like this, no president should act this way, obviously.
Some of Trump's closest allies, meantime, are leaping to his defense, like South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham.
I'll say this. If there's a prosecution of Donald Trump for mishandling classified information after the Clinton debacle,
who suggested a Trump indictment would set political tensions aflame.
There'll be riots in the streets.
While New Hampshire Republican Governor Chris Sununu questions the timing of the Mar-a-Lago search.
A hearing on whether to appoint a special master to oversee the review of documents as requested by former President Trump is scheduled for Thursday. Take a look at this. A crash caused a whole bunch of tomatoes to spill onto Interstate 80 in Vacaville this morning. The CHP says the big rig driver hauling the tomatoes was involved in a crash, spilling the thousands of tomatoes onto the freeway. Cars got stuck in the muck, causing a separate four-vehicle crash.
The big rig was cut off by another vehicle, causing the big rig to lose control, which struck another vehicle. And then after that crash, the big rig went through the center divide and lost its load of tomatoes on the eastbound side. Vehicles came up upon a lot of tomatoes.
Traffic was backed up for miles. One person did receive major injuries in one of the crashes. Two others had minor injuries. A Fremont man died in a motorcycle crash in rural Shasta County. Now, this crash happened Sunday afternoon, sometime before 4. The wreck happened on Highway 36 west of Platina, about 30 miles southwest of Redding. Officers said that the driver was Kevin Burgess of Fremont. Police say that Burgess lost control on a curve, ran off the road, and hit a tree. Butte County government is holding a job fair this week in Oroville. Open positions include those in law enforcement, public health, social services, and more. Department leaders say county government is a great place to start a career, and the worker shortage is a rare opportunity for those who are seeking jobs. This job fair is Thursday, 1 to 4 p.m. at the Andes Room at the Butte County Department of Employment and Social Services building. A whole new meaning to stomach acid, how you can keep your kids from swallowing batteries.
Over the last 2 weeks, the last half of August, we have had temperatures above average in Redding, as you can see. Now, there has been a downward trend, but still above average. However, as we begin to close out August and head into September and the upcoming Labor Day weekend, we have more heat coming. I'll have your forecast all the way through the upcoming holiday right after this.
You're watching Action News Now. Storm Tracker weather. Coverage you can count on.
We're taking a live look right now over the valley where it's another sunny day. Let's check in with our chief meteorologist, Jason Stiff, for a look at what we should expect in the coming days.
Yeah, we still have some high clouds outside right now. We began the day in a sunny way, but now those clouds I was telling you about last night, they'll be moving overhead. They're right in our sky right now, even spawning a few showers and storms well to our south and west, even southwest and west of Glenn County. But it has been a pretty nice day. It's also been a hotter than average day, and that is the direction it's going to be going for a while. Currently at the Chico Airport, 93 degrees, but closer to 97 degrees downtown. It's 96 in Oroville, 98 degrees in Red Bluff, 102 degrees in Redding, and 101 degrees in Weaverville. Look at that temperature in Eureka. We're not even going to have lows like that. That marine layer, currently 56 degrees. That looks delightful, but it is, as expected, hotter than yesterday, up to 7 degrees warmer than just 24 hours ago, and we're not done with that trend. As you can see, looking at our satellite and radar composite, there are those showers that are west of Elk Creek, moving closer and closer to Highway 101, well to our south and west. We have some clouds over the Sierra too, but only a slight chance for some showers and storms moving through. So by 11 o'clock tonight, we'll have a lot of high clouds over northeastern California, but almost nothing to show for it. There's that slight chance for showers and storms, but by tomorrow morning, those clouds will be gone, and we're going to have a lot of sunshine going forward. There's a strong ridge of high pressure that I've been tracking since last week. It's going to be dominating our weather pattern all the way through this coming weekend. A couple disturbances will try to move our way from the Pacific Ocean, but they are going to be unsuccessful. We have a gradual warming trend all the way through Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Don't forget, that's the Labor Day weekend too, and we'll have some of the hottest weather that we've had for at least a couple weeks, and it's going to be definitely hotter than our past Independence Day weekend was. That was fairly comfortable, but this time it's not going to be so. We already have an excessive heat watch out for the Valley, foothills, and the Sierra. This is for Saturday through Labor Day Monday, so it's still 4 to 5 days away, but we know it's going to be hot, so make sure if you have outdoor plans this upcoming holiday weekend, you take precautions, drink plenty of water, seek the air conditioning and the shade. You are going to need it by the time we get to the end of our 7-day forecast. Tomorrow, if you want to do some exercising outdoors, you'll still want to do it early. It's going to get hotter in the afternoon a little bit earlier, and that trend is going to continue all the way through the week. Here's your forecast for tomorrow. Expecting plenty of sun, but unfortunately some smoke too for Trinity County. Highs will be hotter though, between 95 and 100 degrees. For the northeast, sunny and hotter also. Well into the 90s around Shingletown and Quincy. Lower 90s around Mineral. For the Ridge, mild tonight, but a little bit hotter tomorrow. Daytime highs in the mid to upper 80s with lower 90s around Magalia, Concow, Forest Ranch, and Paradise. For the Valley, we'll have a few high clouds tonight, but not by tomorrow morning. Lows in the lower 60s, highs at or above 100 degrees tomorrow, hotter than today. And for the Chico area, lows tonight also averaging in the mid 60s, highs tomorrow in the upper 90s, lower 100s will be possible, but they're much more likely going forward. Here's your 7-day forecast in Chico. By Saturday, 103, at least 105 Sunday and Labor Day Monday. For the Redding area, well into triple digits, getting close to 110 by the holiday.
First at 4, Facebook's parent company reaches a settlement in the case of election interference. And new at 5, Ozzy Osbourne says goodbye to the U.S. We'll show you what's bringing on the move. But first, a radiation scare overseas, what officials are doing to prevent a disaster in Ukraine. Hey, so for now I'm dropping E16 Modoc fare. International inspectors are heading to Ukraine, a nuclear power plant there under the control of the Russian military. Megan Fitzgerald reports on the growing alarm about a potential radiation disaster.
Yeah, the International Atomic Energy Agency says that a team of scientists are making their way right now to Ukraine. They should be inside the Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant by the end of the week. Now, once there, we understand they're going to be looking at everything from the structural integrity of the plant to paying close attention to the damage that's been done, even assessing the men and women that are inside. Now, look, this is a critical mission that world leaders have been calling for weeks because of the threat of a nuclear disaster from the shelling and the fighting that's been happening in the area. Now, overnight, we saw more fighting. The Ukrainians saying that it was the Russians that hit the plant. The Russians saying it's the Ukrainians. Meanwhile, the Ukrainians saying that they're not taking any chances. They have already disseminated to people in the area these iodine pills for a worst case scenario. They tell us that they're actively monitoring the levels in the area. Right now, this is just a preventative measure, but if levels are to rise, if there is to be a leak at that facility, they of course will then encourage these people to take those pills. Meanwhile, the shelling in the area continues, and that's the big concern here. We saw just last week that because of fighting in the area, a fire broke out, which then knocked the nuclear plant off of its power grid. This is something that's never been seen before, according to Ukrainian officials. It caused the plant to have to use those backup generators that run off of diesel fuel. The concern here is that no one knows just how much diesel fuel the Russians have, and if this happens again, the concern here is that there could be a nuclear meltdown. So all eyes are on these inspectors as they make their way into this plant, something that we are expecting to see in the coming days.
Fighting in the area temporarily disconnected the plant from Ukraine's power grid for the first time in its 40-year history. Now, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says the incident left the world narrowly avoiding a radiation catastrophe. NASA says it needs a little more time to resolve technical issues pertaining to the scrubbed Artemis 1 launch this morning. The historical launch was postponed after the flight team encountered a cooling problem with engine number 3. NASA officials declined to set an exact time for the next launch attempt, but made it clear they're not giving up. They plan to reconvene tomorrow to review all of the data and could aim for Friday as another launch opportunity.
And if we can resolve this operationally out at the pad in the next 48 hours, 72 hours, Friday is definitely in play. So we just need to see. We need to see what the art of the possible is. We need the team to digest what we've learned, and we'll take it from there.
NASA officials noted that a series of weather issues, including lightning near the launch pad in Florida, would have also caused a delay during today's countdown window. Meta, Facebook's parent company, agreed to settle a long-running class action lawsuit. The company was accused of giving out users' private data without the user's consent. Cambridge Analytica, the now defunct political consulting firm, collected information from millions of Facebook users through a Facebook survey and then used it to try to influence voters in the 2016 U.S. presidential election. After the scheme came to light, a group of Facebook users sued the social media company. Exactly how much Facebook ended up forking over is not yet clear. A chance to learn more about what's happening with the local town's irrigation district. But first, a warning about scammers using student loan forgiveness as bait. So is his live shot up? We just don't have video in? I'm going to keep it floated until we have an answer. Thank you.
Covering Northern California. You're watching Action News Now. Coverage you can count on.
Happening tomorrow, a chance for you to learn more about what's happening with the Anderson-Cottonwood Irrigation District. The ACID Water Users Association is hosting the community information event Tuesday, tomorrow, 4 to 6 p.m. at Anderson City Hall and Community Center on Howard Street. Government agencies and businesses will be there to answer your questions. Well, happening tomorrow, PG&E plans to cut power so it can install new equipment on Bucks Lake Road. Tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m., about 340 customers in Meadow Valley and Quincy will be cut off. This includes Feather River College. Avelo Airlines just launched a new sweepstakes to showcase its flight from Las Vegas to Burbank to Redding. The winner of the Redding Set Go contest gets a Sheraton hotel stay, a Hertz car rental, Padeco bike, and Headwaters kayak rental, breakfast at Theory Coffee, and dinner at Mosaic Restaurant. And of course, Avelo Airlines is giving the winner 2 free tickets. You can go to actionnewsnow.com and find news links to get the entry form by September 25th. Over 18,000 people are flying in and out of Redding every month. That's up 147% compared to the same period in 2019. Well, the Federal Trade Commission is issuing a warning about scammers using student loan forgiveness as bait. Cole Higgins shows us tips from the Better Business Bureau on how to protect yourself.
Unsolicited calls, texts, emails, and fraudulent websites. It's how scammers will likely use the latest news about student loan forgiveness to bait new victims.
Scammers will promise fast forgiveness, whether it is additional benefits, faster benefits, erasing your student debt. All of those are empty promises that will lead to an empty pocketbook.
The Better Business Bureau is bracing for a spike in calls and reports after the Federal Trade Commission issued a consumer alert about potential scams involving student loans. Last Wednesday, President Joe Biden announced a plan to address student loan debt, including debt forgiveness for certain borrowers. The BBB says scammers may use the news to attempt to defraud borrowers looking for eligibility information.
It's important to know that the government is not allowed to call you about your student loan unless you've given permission.
The Better Business Bureau has these tips to protect yourself. First, understand that these government programs are free to sign up for, and that anyone offering you help for a fee is a red flag. Number 2, know the ins and outs of your student loan. Know the terms and don't fall for it if a scammer promises you benefits the government or your loan provider hasn't already offered you. Number 3, do your research. Look up the lender or company reaching out to you to find out if there's a scam artist on the other end of the line. Number 4, look twice before you click. The BBB says some imposters often create lookalike government websites, so pay attention to the URL. And finally, protect your private data. Don't give out your social security number, federal student aid ID, or any other personal information.
That financial help that's on the way could help roughly 43 million people if passed. 8 million students will qualify for student loan forgiveness right away, but 35 million others will have to submit a form. Students who automatically qualify have already submitted their income information to the Department of Education, and those who did not will have to submit that form. A tweet from the Secretary of Education, Matt Cardona, says you won't be able to apply until October. Once that form is completed, you can expect relief within 4 to 6 weeks. Borrowers who earn less than $125,000 a year or families earning less than $250,000 a year are eligible for at least $10,000 of relief. To learn more about this, go to actionnewsnow.com and just look under news links. Happening today, Caltrans begins road work on Highway 44 east of Redding in Shasta County. Crews will replace the asphalt concrete as well with overlay. The work is happening near Viola, about 3 miles east of Deer Flat Road to about half a mile east of Bridge Creek Road. There will be 15-minute delays Monday through Friday during the daytime hours, and crews expect to finish the work in early October. Why some rebound cases of COVID have the FDA scratching its head. Can we do something at the end of this block if I drag down, and let's unfloat Modoc Fair. Well, we've just gone through the E block though. Can I bring that down somewhere? Let's unfloat float Modoc Fair, and I will bring that down to the bottom of the F block. Can I also bring down lake levels and kind of make up some time there? Is it possible to put, Jason's offering, is that what you can talk about, Jason?
Yeah, that's fine.
Jason's offering to kill some time at the bottom of this F block. If we can, I won't have time to format any boxes, but that would be nice if we could.
I added a story for you too in the F block.
At the wall?
What did you put in?
The air travel thing.
Oh, okay. So Haley put in a story with that. Air travel, let me put that time in. Shoot. How much time left in the break? All right, and then for lake levels, let's give that more like 130. And yes, but including a toss. Is there any boxes somewhere that I can just drag down since it's already coded, like from First Weather? It'd be a little unorthodox, but could we do that? I'm going to bring First Weather down then.
Will I be in the weather center or the wall then?
I don't know.
I know I'm not helping you much standing.
Oh, that's
here.
all
I'm
right.
not here to offer
That's
to
all right.
help, but-
8 seconds.
Okay.
Modoc Fair. The Biden administration is suspending the distribution of free at-home COVID-19 tests this week. The government says the suspension will take place Friday because of insufficient congressional funding. According to a senior administration official, a stockpile of the tests is being depleted, and officials want to have enough on hand in the event of a fall surge. There are about 15,000 federally supported community sites like libraries and pharmacies that will still offer free tests. Numerous people have tested positive for COVID-19 a second time after taking antiviral therapy Paxlovid. So how common is a Paxlovid rebound? Mandy Gaither shows us what health experts have to say about the treatment.
It's an antiviral pill used to treat COVID-19. As of mid-August in the U.S., the Department of Health and Human Services says about 4 million courses of Paxlovid have been administered, but some people who have taken the antiviral pill are testing positive a second time.
We know that people who are older are more likely to rebound.
Several studies have tracked rebound cases, including a preprint study that looked at cases during the Omicron wave. It found 2 to 4% of patients experienced a rebound infection or symptoms within a week after treatment. 5 to 6% had a rebound within a month. Experts say that rebound cases are probably more common than data shows, but by how much is hard to tell.
But at the end of the day, the rebound, none of the cases that have rebound has ended up having more severe disease or ended up in the hospital. So I still think Paxlovid is an incredibly useful drug.
That's why experts say overall, Paxlovid is still a good option for treatment for people over the age of 65, those who are immunocompromised, or adults who have underlying conditions such as diabetes or heart disease. In a statement, Paxlovid manufacturer Pfizer said, while further evaluation is needed, we continue to monitor data from our ongoing clinical studies. We remain very confident in its clinical effectiveness at preventing severe outcomes from COVID-19 in patients at increased risk.
That was Mandy Gaither reporting. Now, the FDA requested more data from Pfizer to study patients who need a second course of treatment. Officials are thinking that patients may need to take Paxlovid longer. The FDA is looking into that. The number of children visiting emergency rooms due to battery-related injuries is on the rise. Data shows there were more than twice the number of battery-related ER visits in 2010 through 2019 compared to 1990 through 2009. The majority of incidents occurred in children 5 or younger. 90% of visits were for battery ingestions. The batteries produce an electric current when they're swallowed, killing and liquefying living tissue. Experts say new laws are needed to protect children from battery-related injuries. The Department of Transportation says air travelers filed nearly 6,000 complaints in 1 month, a 35% increase from May. The report shows canceled flights are largely to blame. Weather was a major factor disrupting travel plans, but airline staff shortages and FAA ground stops also contributed to the cancellations. This year's Modoc County Fair was a major hit, according to organizers. There's a look at the event that got rave reviews. The Sheriff's Office shared these photos and its gratitude for all the people who work year-round to make this fair a success. And we have one more unofficial weekend of summer. The big hurrah, Labor Day weekend, is coming up. People will want to head to the lake, Jason. How the lake levels looking right now?
Yeah, lake levels are going to still be going down. You're definitely going to want to have that cool water. Make sure you stay safe because we have a lot more heat coming our way. Let's take a look at how Shasta Lake and Lake Oroville are doing thus far this year. First of all, with Shasta Lake, we're at 35% of capacity, 58% of where we should be on the 29th day of August. We're now 135 feet from the top, but it has been a very slow drop the last several months, actually. As far as Lake Oroville is concerned, 37% of capacity. It's 63% of where it should be on this stage. It is now 191 feet from the top. Now, keep in mind, when it gets 200 feet from the top, that's the level of 700 feet, and that's where a couple of those boat docks can't be used anymore. The good news as far as the drop in the water is concerned, early in July, it was actually dropping about a foot a day, but now we're looking at the last couple weeks, it's now only dropping a few inches a day, which is encouraging, but the bad news is we have even more heat coming our direction. Excessive heat watches have been issued for our area as we get closer and closer to the Labor Day weekend. Details about that and how hot it's going to get for where you live coming up in just a few minutes.
Flooding fears continue to wreak havoc in the South. How one state is preparing.
You're watching Action News Now. Storm Tracker weather. Coverage you can count on.
Well, if you have a cabin up there at Lake Almanor, lucky you. Look at the view right there from this live camera. Some cloudiness in the sky, but a beautiful summer day. Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Jason Siff, tracking all these conditions for us. How's it looking up there, Jason?
Yeah, it's going to be awfully warm going forward, and it's only going to get hotter. A lot of people are going to want to go to our area lakes, whether it's Lake Almanor, Lake Oroville, Shasta Lake, or Trinity Lake, any of the bodies of water, and it's going to be necessary as we get closer to this upcoming Labor Day weekend. Not only would you already want to go there to recreate, but it's going to be really hot. Right now, it's pretty hot outside. 94 degrees in the city of Mount Shasta. Bernie is 96. It's 91 degrees in Chester, but we're going to be closer to the upper 90s by this coming weekend around Chester and Lake Almanor. 90 degrees in Paradise. It's 102 degrees in Redding. 93 degrees at the Chico Airport, but upper 90s around downtown. We have those high clouds that are moving over the Sierra and the Southern Cascades. Some active weather to the west of Elk Creek, most of that already west of Glenn County, so that's going the wrong direction for us. We'll have another wave of high clouds moving overhead tonight. There's a slight chance for some showers and storms, but the vast majority of us are going to stay high and dry. And then once we get to tomorrow morning, expect almost all those clouds to be gone for quite some time. There's a strong ridge of high pressure that will dominate our weather for the last several days of August and the first few days of September, which obviously includes the upcoming Labor Day weekend. You can see that not much is going to change in our long-term forecast. That ridge centered over the Great Basin and the Central Rockies, pushing all the way toward the west coast. So we'll be lucky just a few clouds here and there. No good chances for rain and no relief from this heat. Also, that's going to be sticking with us for quite some time. We already have an excessive heat watch, and this is really early for this to be issued this far in advance. It's from Saturday morning through next Monday evening. Temperatures in the valley could exceed 110 degrees. Overnight lows are not going to fall very far, especially in the foothills. We have that very, very warm zone in the higher elevations, and we could have lows in the 70s and 80s. So right now, sleeping forecast is looking okay. We're still going to be a little bit hot overnight tonight, cooling down for a couple hours in the morning, but you'll need that fan and the air conditioning going. And once you get up, you want to make one of those early tea times. We'll have a lot of sunshine tomorrow, lower 70s at 8 a.m., 90 degrees at noon, upper 90s by 3 p.m. with temperatures in the triple digits. I'll show you in the 7-day forecast coming up in a second just how hot it's going to get by this time next week. Here's your forecast for tomorrow. Sunny, smoky, and hotter for the northwest with highs between 95 and 100 degrees. For the northeast, also a little bit hotter, clearer too in the northeastern part of our state. Highs definitely in the 90s tomorrow. For the ridge, starting to warm up a little bit more, mid to upper 80s and lower 90s for highs after a mild start, but by the time we get to this weekend, those overnight lows are going to be uncomfortably warm. For the valley, we'll have lows tonight in the 60s, highs tomorrow at or above 100 degrees, and it's only going up from there. For the Chico area, averaging in the mid-60s tomorrow morning, highs upper 90s and lower triple digits. And look where the 7-day forecast is going for us. Daytime highs in Chico will climb from the upper 90s to at least 105 Sunday and Monday. It could get a little bit hotter than that too. And for the Redding area, deep into the triple digits, 103 tomorrow and Wednesday, at least 108 Sunday and Monday, if not 110.
Now a look at what we're working on for Action News Now at 5. Here's Haley.
Looking at those temperatures, I'm sure most of us want to head to the beach, but a lot of reasons you might not. For sharks, now a bug that has some people steering clear. New at 5:30, we show you where beach goers are finding these carnivorous creatures and the benefits despite the bite. Plus, we show you what automakers have coming down the pipe as more people consider electric vehicles for their next ride. Join us for Action News Now at 5.
Thanks, Haley. The anniversary of one of our country's worst humanitarian disasters. What the area looks like today. Plus more weather catastrophes. Which state is preparing for torrential downpours next? I'm sure Japhet would love you to correct and admonish him. Today marks 17 years since Hurricane Katrina hit the Gulf Coast. The storm caused 1,833 deaths and approximately $108 billion in damage. Katrina made landfall 3 times in the U.S., first in Florida, then southeast Louisiana, and finally Mississippi. The storm left much of New Orleans underwater. 2 broken levees flooded 80% of that city. It also created a humanitarian disaster as thousands of people were left without food, water, and shelter. Authorities in Mississippi say they are cautiously optimistic after a record-setting amount of rain threatened to flood streets and spill into homes over the next 2 days. Isabel Rosales gives us a closer look at how the state is coping with the flood threats.
This water's coming up again. I'm worried about, is it going to come in?
Record rain in the region over the past few days has made its way to the Pearl River near Jackson. On the rise and expected to crest Monday, just shy of major flood stage. Over the weekend, the governor declared parts of Mississippi under a state of emergency, and the mayor urged people in the flood zone to get out before the water moved in.
We need our residents to take heed to these warnings and move out quickly.
Those who followed official advice prepared, packed, and departed.
You don't what to expect for the unknown, so you end up blind for a lot of stuff, and you just got to come back and hope for the best.
Many had done this before. The river hit 36.67 feet just 2 years ago, damaging much of the city. Mickey and Anitra Holder say they hadn't fully bounced back from that. Now there's this.
The home and the stuff inside now is material things. We can't worry about material things. We can replace them. As long as I got my kids and my wife out, nothing else matters.
Their faith planted firmly in place while so much in their community shifted. Water where it shouldn't be. Roads no longer where they once were. But Monday, better news. The river expected to crest more than a foot below that 2020 high water mark. With hope, the worst is over this time.
Officials say the Pearl River near Jackson is rising but is not expected to reach major flood stage. The first 3D printed home in the state is in our backyard. We'll show you when we come back.
Test 1 2 speaking. Hello.
The City of Reading partnered with Emergent 3D and Access Home to print the first on-site 3D printed house in the state. The 1,200 square foot home will be housing for the Enterprise Community Park host. Reading City Council says this fire-resistant, eco-friendly housing model aims to address affordable housing, disaster recovery, and homelessness. California needs another 3.4 million homes built by 2025 to keep pace with housing needs. Now a look live out over Tehama County into the valley. A sunny summer day. Let's get a check of our forecast one last time for this hour.
I hope they're able to 3D print an electronic device like an AC unit because you are going to need it. We have plenty of heat right now. Temperatures slowly dropping down to the lower 80s by 10 o'clock tonight, but there's a lot more heat coming forward all the way through this coming weekend. Details about that at 5.
Thank you, Jason. Stay right here for Action News Now at 5 with Haley Watts coming up next.
Oh, thanks, Al. I'll see you in an hour. New details on something that we're talking about tonight at 5, and I'm going to tell you more about those things.